Hi, my name is Euler Bropleh, and I run an investment firm called VestedWorld. When I first started in 2014, across all 54 countries, only $180 million had been invested in early stage companies in Africa. When you look at countries like South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, even in the 1950s, and compare it to African countries, from a development standpoint, it's arguable that African countries were further ahead. But as these countries gained independence, there was a divergence, and the East Asian countries really took off, whereas the African countries didn't. I started to study why that occurred, and the largest things I could see was just a lack of focus on developing the core parts of their economies. That's what led me to focus on investing and building businesses that can help transform the countries where they are, starting with the countries I was most passionate about. I was born in Liberia, and unfortunately, when I was 9 years old, a civil war started in the country, and we were fortunate enough to leave, but many family members stayed behind and are still in Liberia. The population boom that's occurring in Africa is to some extent unprecedented. In the next, I think it's 25 years, the continent's going to add close to 800 million people, whereas most of the world will either be declining or staying pretty level. That creates both an opportunity and challenges. So the challenges are you've got to find ways to engage those people in productive ways so that they can contribute. And if you can't, they're going to have to find alternatives. So the risk of if the African continent can't engage its youthful population in a meaningful way, that could lead to conflict. That could lead to a scarcity of resources. It could lead to more people trying to leave their home country, whether it's crossing the Mediterranean or finding other places to go. It could create problems not just within Africa, but also with other countries around the world. The opportunity is that you've got a large workforce that's eager, that's relatively cheap, that in many countries is fairly well educated. From a geolocation standpoint, Africa is in the center of the world, easy access to the US, Europe, other parts of the Middle East, even Latin America. And so the continent is ideally located to be a bigger player in the manufacturing sector and export-driven sector. Private-public partnerships are critical for any country to develop. A lot of the governments in the countries where we invest do not have a large established revenue base. So they're, unlike more developed countries, they're not collecting taxes at the same level with the same sophistication that other countries are. So they don't have the capital to invest in the things that they need to: basic services, education, healthcare, infrastructure, energy. And so the private sector is needed to step in to fill the gaps in the spaces where the government can't really do what other governments can do in other countries. I don't think anyone wants to leave their home. I think if most people had it their way, they would stay at home. They're surrounded by the friends and families that they love, the customs that they cherish, the places that they're familiar with. The only reason we left was because we were seeking a better opportunity. We were escaping conflict. If people need to escape conflict and they don't feel like they can have the best opportunity, they're going to go somewhere else. But if they feel like they can live a good life in their home country and have safety and be able to take care of their family, I think most people would stay. So our goal is to create the environment in these countries that will be enough to spur those young people that are becoming working age to want to stay and build their careers and build their lives in their home country rather than needing to go somewhere else. Going through the Emerging Leaders program was beneficial, exposing me to how key decisions are made, both here within the city and also nationally. We took a trip to DC, had a chance to meet with folks from policy, organizations, media, within government, both on Congress and the executive branch. This was a much more in-depth and inside baseball exposure to those things. And the people we met during the course of the year that I was an emerging leader, both my peers who were fellow emerging leaders and also the speakers that we had the chance to interact with, really helped shape my thinking around how the world works and influence in some way some of our strategy and how we were thinking about investing in Africa. It was a great year and great relationships and networks, and really helped expand my knowledge.